the live session on this Sunday, and very excited to start the session with a new topic about self-respect or ego. So, what is self-respect and what is ego? When, for example, let us start with an example. Suppose you have texted somebody and that somebody did not respond. You keep on checking your phone and you still see there is no response, and your mind says they are ignoring me, and the anger starts building up. This is where your ego is responding in spite of thinking the other way around. So now what does the ego say? The ego says they are busy, they are not busy, they are just ignoring me, right? But when there is self-respect, you are calmer and the mind says it's okay, they might be busy. So the understanding between the self-respect and the ego is, the self-respect says I am calm, I am okay, and the ego says I have to prove something. I really need to explain. How can they ignore me? How dare they cannot respond to me back? This is Jai Shri Krishna. Gopalji, Jai Shri Krishna. So, I think you can relate to this situation, that when somebody does not respond to you and we start getting angry, this is where the ego comes up. And ego says, I have to prove, I have to tell something, I have to show. How can they ignore me? Why they are not responding? So the mind starts lingering in that. Whereas when there is self-respect, you just stay calm and you say, it's okay, it will take time and they might respond. So if you understand this one point today, what is the difference, you will, heal a lot of your relationships, whether it is in your official this thing or in your personal life. This is really going to, you are really going to control over your emotions and your mind. So, ego is always talking about the self-image, and self-respect is talking about the inner value. There is a key difference, but both the decisions will completely change the way you look at life. So ego, in every ego you will want to win the argument. You always want to win, but when you win the argument, you lose the people. But when you stay calm and stay respected, you always win in life. So, when Arjun was there in the battlefield, he came up like a warrior, something, I am going to kill everybody today. And when he started crying, seeing everybody opposite, Krishna said, hold on, you are not here as a person, you are here something beyond. So look for the purpose of you being here, not for what it is, the story in your mind which is going on. So emotional mastery teaches you the self-respect, and where the ego comes up, we are always at a fight or war. Now let us understand, why this ego comes up. So, there is a self-image. What will people think? How do I look? When your entire, thought process is on the world outside of you, you start thinking, what is this happening? So, and when you go inside and you stay calm, it's okay. It does not depend on the world, how I think, what I think. And when that starts shifting, your ego starts settling down and you become calm. So there is a difference, ego always operates with insecurity. It's very important to understand, why am I always feeling anxiety? Why am I always feeling depressed? Why all these, issues are happening? The reason behind is that there is a lot of fear and there is a lot of insecurity. And insecurity of where Krishna says, where Krishna always says, do your actions without thinking about the result. And so what are you thinking about the result? That result itself is making your ego more into anxiety. Kya hoga? What will happen? Well, so Arjun also reached the same stage. What if I lose the war? What if I kill the people? What if? So that if did not bring him silence. That if made him come into anxiety and he started crying. And this happens with all of us all the time when we are going for an interview. And if you are really looking for a job because you need it, that time your anxiety level is very high, and you start saying, what if I don't get it, what if I. So the mind has been trained to look for always a bad in every situation, or the worst in every situation. So it starts, we have been trained like that. So the ego is always high. So remember, when you are operating through an ego, there is always an insecurity going on. Ego operates on fear and insecurity. That is why the rate of anxiety and depression is so much high in these times. Because we are always looking for that outside pleasure. वो नहीं मिला तो, if I don't get that, then it is very difficult. So coming back to the point that what Krishna says, do your work and do not expect anything, because that expecting anything is only putting us to that anxiety, nothing else. So as we move forward, we realize, when you act from ego, you always react. But when you act with awareness, you always start responding. So ego is, what is ego? Ego is not strength, ego is insecurity. The more you feel insecure inside, the more you start hurting yourself. The more the stronger the ego outside will, the stronger the effect it will have on you. So now, what are the root causes? Let us come to root causes. What are the root causes of that unhealed hurt or the ego happening? We all are suffering from that. There is nobody say that there is no ego in me, or I don't feel insecure, or no. It is very common, but we can overcome it by awareness. So let us understand the root cause of having this hurt. So first root cause is the unhealed hurt. Unhealed hurt means you have not understood yourself on a deeper level. Because we are always reacting to the world, we don't sit calmly and understand what is this emotion teaching me. We always need to control somebody outside. That person should act according to me. So the person who did not respond to your phone call or did not respond to your chat is again, you want him to control the way he should immediately call me back. Because we lose patience in that. The insecurity and the fear, are they, we all go through those dating sites and dating periods and all, meeting new people, or going to meet a client or somebody. What happens in that moment? Will they like me? Will they not like me? So the entire force is what somebody else is thinking about me rather than what I think about myself. So there is, when there is when the things are, everything should go my way, that means there is a need of control. And there is a lot of fear of disrespect. Lot of fear of disrespect. They will, what if they say something to me? So most of the your hurt is not coming from the present moment. It is coming from the past. Something or the other has happened in your past which has triggered you into this moment. So ego reaction will be always instant reply. You will be in anger, proving yourself right. And what will the self-respect do? You will stay calm. There is no anger. And you will respond later on with control. So there is a lot of difference in your energetically in your body. So if you start reading your own body and mind and how you are responding, you will start understanding whether I am operating through an ego or whether I am operating through the self-respect. It is very, very important to understand, because our, the whole life image has been built up on pleasing people, on how others look at me, whether they like me or not like me. This self image is actually breaking our ego and making us more into danger zone. So now let us understand how to handle this ego. Whenever you are in a situation and somebody has said something bad to you, take a pause for 5 seconds. Just take a pause and ask yourself, do I need to prove myself here, or my own self respect is much more better? What is important for me? So when you start asking what is more important, my peace is important, or do I really need to argue and give back, that is important. So when you start realizing that I am feeling ignored, I am feeling disrespected, that means there is awareness in you that this is what you are feeling, and you can always turn into inward and change your emotion. Now, in the next topic, in next Sunday, I'll teach you how to build that self-respect within you. Okay, so first this week you just practice and become aware what kind of emotion I'm giving. Am I immediately speaking to somebody, or am I just responding to somebody? Am I calm, or am I over focused or over analyzed? We have become overthinkers in the moment always. So because of that overthinking, there is always a danger zone looking around, as if something is always going to get round. So that is where the mind starts, getting weak. So awareness, what happens? Awareness reduces your reaction. So silence is not weak. Silence is very, very strong. And controlled silence is very, very strong. So always, choose silence when it is needed. And controlled silence, then silence is not weakness, it is your emotional mastery. Understand what triggers you the most: disrespect, ignorance, criticism. People are always projecting, their own impressions on you. And when we start taking it too personally, we start getting, that ego starts building. How can they say that? So this is what I'm saying. Stop trying to control people and learn to master your own self. Learn to stay calm, because in life, when with ego you may always win the arguments, but you will, or with self respect, you will always win in life. So don't aim to be the loudest person in the room. Aim to be the most composed one. जितना आप शांत रहोगे उतना आप better respond कर सकते हो. So understand that your ego is not going to win. It might win in the situation, but your self-respect will always make you stand out. It will always, your codependency will always go on people, because codependency is actually a sin. The more we rely on others for their response, we lose our own power. So coming back to our own power, understand, be in your self-respect. So that is all for me today. Anybody has any questions, you can ask me. There's somebody asking me, where are you from? Okay, I'm from Delhi, and I am a global Gita coach. And yes, now when you've asked me, I'll give you a very wonderful information also. From 6th of April, we are starting a very wonderful meditation sessions. These are online guided meditations. They are almost for 1 hour, and there are 4 different kind of meditations. They are all Advaita Vedanta's meditations, starting from how to become aware of your thoughts, how to bring that silence, how to come into that alignment within self. So I'll teach you all the 4. The only commitment on your part is you have to participate and learn. For the whole week you have to practice that same meditation. Only then the second level is going to act as a wonderful one. So the more calmer. Why do we do meditations? We do meditations only to bring that calmness within, to understand our own value, to understand our own self. So when I understand that I have the power to make my life or break my life, that is where the meditation is actually helping you to stay calm and self reflect. Meditation helps you to self reflect what is there in it. So we are starting these meditation sessions on 6th of April at 9:30 p.m. India time. So if you wish to join, you can always text me. I keep on sharing my flyers on the Facebook and in fact all social media platforms. And if you want, you can text me anywhere, either on the Facebook or in Instagram or even YouTube here also. So most welcome for the live sessions. They are going to be very, very wonderful. And after 4 weeks, all 4 meditations practice continuously. Then after completing the course, if you feel that one meditation is this, which is actually I really need and I want, I want to practice this again and again, because there are no recorded sessions, they're all live sessions. I'll be speaking to you directly to your subconscious mind, so that you can create those imprints in you where you can actually gather yourself. So when you are doing that practice, you can rejoin the next session on the coming week, on the next month. So first you have to attend all 4. Once you have attended all 4, pick up which one or which 2 you feel that these are the ones I really felt good in them, and I really felt that these will make a difference. So you can always pick them up and join them again. So that is all for today, and thank you so much for joining. We see you all on next Sunday. Next Sunday I'll be talking about more about self-awareness and self-respect, how to maintain, how to get that emotional mastery. We all have that reality check outside, but the mind is always telling you something opposite. So I'll tell you how to master yourself in that through the Gita wisdom. Thank you so much for joining. Have a lovely Sunday and have a lovely weekend.